Hello, I'm Ray with another ghostly tale. Now, this is a strange one. Well, they're all strange, aren't they? As you know, if you watch my other videos, my other ghostly tales. I met a girl. I once knew a girl. Well, I knew lots of girls in the old days. Not now. I need a haircut. Sorry about that. I was in a shop looking for a birthday card for a friend of mine. I wanted it to be funny but not rude, and I was having a bit of trouble choosing a card. And there was a girl a few feet away choosing her card for whatever. And she said, "You're having trouble, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes, I am. I don't know which one to get. There's so much to choose from." And we got chatting and she found one which was perfect. And I thanked her for that. And then she said, "I know you from somewhere." And I thought, oh, here we go. This is a good chat up line. Yeah, I know you from somewhere. Yeah, of course you do. And I just said, "Oh, okay, yeah. And she said, "Oh, seriously, where have we met? We've met somewhere in the past. I know we have." And I said, I don't know. I had no recollection of her at all. I'd never seen her before in my life. Very pretty, lovely, sort of crimped. Is it crimped or crinkle, whatever they call it? Blonde hair down to here. Lovely, pretty face. Friendly as well. Friendly, helpful with my card. And so I said to her, "I'll tell you what we'll do." I thought I might as well jump in at the deep end. I said, "Let's go out for a drink this evening and we'll discuss where it is that we know each other from." I've adjusted the light slightly because I don't want this to be too scary. If you can see my face properly, it'll be too scary. No, seriously. So we met up and we had a drink and we were just chatting. And I had just put the whole thing down to this was her chat up line. She looked at me and obviously realised I'm an extremely good looking chap, and she thought, "Oh wow, this is a result if I can get a date with him," as of course a lot of girls did back then. Right, moving on back to reality. That was fiction. That bit. This bit isn't fiction. We were talking in the pub and she kept saying, "I know you from somewhere." And do you know, I had that same feeling. And in the end, I said to her, "Look, I reckon we have met somewhere because I just, there's something about you." I mean, this wasn't a chat-up line. I said, "There's something about you that just, it rings a bell," if that's a way to put it. It rings a bell. There's something about you. And we were chatting away, and then she said, "Do you remember the lake?" And I'm thinking, lake? What lake? And she said, "You couldn't swim. Do you remember?" Well, I can't swim. I still can't. So that made sense. And she said, "I was teaching you to swim." And then suddenly in my mind, I saw this lake. And I said, "Yes, I do. I remember the lake." And I said, "I was complaining. I was moaning because you were trying to drown me." And she said, "Yeah, I wasn't trying to drown you. I was trying to hold you up." And she said, "You were struggling and you were making out that I was trying to hold you under." And she was laughing and I laughed. And I said, "Yeah, I do. I remember that clearly, vividly, the lake." And we talked about that a little bit more, about how I still can't swim. We just couldn't work out how come we both had this same memory. We obviously, because we kind of, if you like, tested each other. She said, "Oh, do you remember when we came out of the lake? You couldn't find your clothes." And I did. I remembered that. Because what she had done as we were going into the lake, she chucked them under a bush. I couldn't find my clothes. I mean, obviously I had something on. I say obviously, presumably I had something on, as she did. And I remember that. And I mentioned something about the lake. I can't remember what it was. And she said, "Yeah, I remember seeing that." So we both had this memory of this lake. We're both in the water and she's teaching me to swim. Oh, by the way, her name is Martha. Martha, unusual name. This was back in the 60s, well, I was about 20. So about 71, about 1971-ish. And Martha was an unusual name back then. A lot of names are popular now, aren't they? Like Amy and that sort of thing. Back then they were your sort of granny's name, but now, anyway, that's a different issue. So we talked about this lake, and we obviously both had this vivid memory of that incident or whatever, that episode. After a couple more drinks, no, we weren't drunk, Not at that stage. After a couple more drinks, I said to her, do you remember the tower? I just had this picture in my mind of a square tower, a bell tower. You know, I don't know what, 30 feet high, is it? Something like that. 30 feet high, a bell tower. Square tower, entrance at the bottom, inside a wooden ladder up the wall, and then at the top, around like a wooden platform like that, and the bell in the middle. I could see it vividly in my mind's eye. And she said, I remember the bell tower. She said, the rope snapped and you went up there to fix it, which is exactly what I recalled. I was going to go up there, I did go up there to retie the rope. It had broken up the top somewhere, so you couldn't ring the bell. And I'd said to her, stay down the bottom, don't follow me up the ladder. Now, I didn't tell her that. She said to me, do you remember you told me not to follow you up the ladder? This was uncanny. This was unreal. And I said, yes. What happened when we got to the top? She said, oh, well, you told me off because I'd followed you up and you said I shouldn't in case I fell. And I said, yeah, okay. And what happened about when I tied the rope? Because I remembered. She said, I told you that you'd used the wrong type of knot. And that was it. That was what I recalled. She was laughing, telling me I'd used the wrong type of knot. I forget what knot she said I should have used. I just did a kind of whatever knot. I think she said I should have tied a reef knot or something. I can't remember. And I said to her, okay, so we both remember being in the tower up the top and looking. I said, looking out, what did you see? And she said, I can't remember what I saw outside the tower. I just remember you, the bell, the platform around that we were standing on, you tying the rope, and we went back down the ladder. And she even said you went first because you told me off because I nearly stepped on your head because I went down first and she was following me, which is exactly the recollection that I had. I said, when we got to the bottom, what did you see? We stepped outside the tower because I couldn't recall anything further than that. And she said, I don't know. I can't see anything outside the tower. So it was a shame because it would have been nice to know where we were, what we were doing. Anyway, I said to her, look, there's one important thing that we haven't mentioned. I said, how old were we? I said, you remember in the tower, the lake, you could see me? She said, oh yeah, I could see you. I said, how old was I? She said, well, 20. And I said, yeah, so are you. For my images in my mind, you were about 20. And she said, yeah, so what's that got to do with it? I said, well, how old were we now? And she said, well, 20. I said, exactly. So it can't be something from childhood that we've remembered, or, you know, if we were kids, we saw a film together at the cinema, our parents knew each other and lost touch or whatever. It can't be any of that. Because in our memories, our recollections, in our mind's eye, we were the age that we are now. Well, not now, I'm old now. But you see what I mean? It was absolutely peculiar. They were the only two recollections we had that evening. We spent the rest of the evening just chatting and basically getting to know each other. We met up 2, maybe 3 times after that in the pub. Didn't ever go to her house and she didn't come back to my place. We weren't boyfriend and girlfriend. We were just becoming friends, and the kind of bond, if there was a bond, was this sort of recollection, this memory stuff going back to whenever. We didn't know when. Another thing that she mentioned was about the lake. She said, do you remember that time at the lake? She said, again, I think I was teaching you to swim. And she said, do you remember the children there? And I had to think for a minute. Then I said, yes, I do. There were 2 boys. And they were throwing stuff at us. And she said, it was bits of wood. They were finding twigs and bits of wood, throwing them in the lake and watching them float. And I said, that's right, because you told them off. You said that they were throwing the bits of wood at us, and they weren't. They were throwing them into the lake and just watching them float. That was all, like boats, that's all it was. And again, we're both looking at each other, and how do we remember this stuff? How on earth have we got these vivid recollections of things that basically haven't happened. It just hasn't happened. Now this is where things change a bit. I'd arranged to meet her. There were a few other things. I won't go through all the recollections because there's no point. But you can see what's been happening, all these different recollections. I met her one evening. It was a Friday. I know it was Friday because the pub was getting busy. And we found a little table somewhere out of the way of everyone. Fridays were always busy in pubs, weren't they? In the good old days when pubs were pubs, not restaurants. Anyway, we're sitting in the corner. She said, right, she was really excited. I've got some news. I know what's been happening. So I said, okay, yeah. She said, I went to see a psychic medium. And I thought, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds interesting. I said, yes, carry on. We were married in a past life. We had 2 children, 2 boys in a past life. And I was thinking, oh dear, yes. So I said, right, okay. I thought I'd indulge her. I didn't want to laugh and whatever. I said, okay, fine. So this woman, this medium woman, did you give her any clue? What did you say when you first got there? Did you say that you'd met me and we've got these recollections? And she said, oh, no. I just went along there and we chatted, and she did ask me what I wanted, anything in particular. And as you were telling me all about it, I was just thinking, yeah, this medium woman has obviously dug around a little bit for clues, picked up on 1 or 2 things, and oh yes, that would be a past life, and oh, you the 2 children, you were married with 2 children, and that's why he remembers these things. It's from a previous life. I didn't want to, mock the idea. I don't want to make fun of her because she obviously was well into this. And she believed it. So I just went along with it. I said, well, this is incredible, it's amazing. Fantastic. To think that we knew each other and we were married in a past life and we had 2 children, 2 boys. What I did, I asked her about this woman and she said, oh, her name was Alice. Yes, it was Alice. And she said where she was. There's a block of flats at number 17. I remember that, number 17. And I just said, oh, okay. And she said, why don't you go and see her? And I said, no, I won't. But I did. A few days later, I went along to see Alice. Alice was a lovely lady, probably in her 70s. I'm going back then, in her 70s. Very nice, very friendly, very homely type of lady. Her flat was very nice. And she sat me down and she said, right, what's the problem? And I said, well, no, there is no problem, really. I said, this is just out of interest. I've heard about psychic mediums and things, and out of interest, what sort of job will I have in the future, and what's going to happen, what does life hold for me? And she said, okay, and she sat there and she looked at me and she said, you've been worried recently about some memories coming back. I hadn't given her a clue at all. So I just said, nothing I can think of, but okay. And she said, no, you've been a bit concerned. You've had some memories coming back to you from the past and you can't understand them. You don't understand what these memories are. Now, I didn't want to say, oh no, I don't know what you're talking about, because she was right. But I didn't want to say, oh yes, you're right, because that would give her a clue, if you see what I mean. So I said, well, I've had 1 or 2 things, 1 or 2 recollections that don't actually make sense. If that's part of what you mean, I don't know. And she said, there's a girl. So I said, well, I haven't got a girlfriend. She said, oh no, that's not a girlfriend, no, nothing like that. There's a girl that's come into your life. So I said, I know several people down the pub, friends, I can't think of anyone in particular. And she said, oh no, this is one girl in particular. She said, you know her? And I thought, I bet she's remembered Martha going there. I bet she's remembered and put 2 and 2 together and thought that I'm the chap, I'm the other half. So I said, well, I don't know, there are many girls. I was good looking, I still am. Many girls. And she said, no. She said, I'm sure you know which one I'm talking about. There's one in particular. And she went on, and then she said, in 4 years' time, you're going to get married. Oh, I said, okay, that's good. And she said, you'll have a son. And she was right. She was right. 4 years after seeing her, I got married and I had a son. But what that did, that proved to me that she was genuine. With other things that she said, I won't go into them all, we'll be here all night. And then she said, you and this girl, you've met and you share experiences from a previous life. You were married with 2 children, 2 boys. And I thought, she's definitely remembered Martha going along, putting me down as the other half. And I said to her, yes, you're right, you're 100% right. I said, I am impressed. I said, you probably remember Martha came to see you, and I knew it was Monday, last Monday. And she said, no, I didn't see anyone Monday. I said, sure, Martha said Monday. I said, was it Monday, Tuesday? Earlier this week, she came to see you. She said, I haven't seen anyone this week. Business has been bad. And then she smiled. She said, I suppose I shouldn't call it business, should I? And I laughed. And it's not meant to be a business, is it? And she said, I haven't seen anyone for the last week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. She said it's been very quiet. Plus she'd been away. She'd been to see her sister or something in up north somewhere. And I said, well, I've definitely got the right place here. These flats, number 17, and you're Alice. She said, well, yes. And I said, well, and you're a psychic medium. So, she came to see you. There was no one else. And she said, look, I can promise you, I assure you, I haven't seen anyone for at least a week and a half, if not 2 weeks. And she went and got her little book where she writes things down. I was in there, my time and the day that I was going round there. And she said, look, there was the last one. I can't remember the name, but someone had been one afternoon to see her, and there was nothing after that. And she said, that's proof. I thought, well, I'm not going to argue with her. I just said, okay, fine, okay. I said, so what can you tell me then? Forget Martha. What's going on in my head? She started to explain that we've all had a past life or previous lives, more than one, and we're reborn and all this sort of business. And I didn't argue with her at all because she seemed pretty genuine. And as I say, 4 years later, I mean, that didn't prove that she was correct at the time, but later on, looking back, that along with other things, I know she was 100% correct in everything, 110% correct. She said I'd have throat problems later in life, and I did. I had to have a parathyroid removed. Anyway, you're not interested in that. And she was talking about this previous life, this past life. And I said to her, look, I'll bring Martha along to meet you. I said, we'll both come along. Perhaps tomorrow, as you're not busy, perhaps tomorrow. And she just did that. And then she said, no, don't bring her here. And she looked quite worried, frightened. I said, not worried, frightened. So I said, well, she's a lovely girl, why not? We can talk about this once you see us together. And she kept interrupting me, no, don't bring her here. So I said, okay, fine. I said, can you tell me why? And she said, when was it that she said that she came here? And I said, it was Monday. And she said, would that be morning or afternoon? And I said, I think it was afternoon. And she said, Monday afternoon, I fell asleep in my chair. She said, you do that when you get old. And I can now agree with that. I fall asleep in not this chair while I'm talking to you, I won't. No, seriously. She said, I fell asleep in my chair and I had a dream. And the dream was, she said, I've only just remembered it because she said she has lots of dreams. She said that the dream was that there was this girl with 2 children. And I said, well, are you saying that was Martha? She said, I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know who it was. But there was this girl with 2 children by a lake. I said, right. And what happened by the lake? She said there was a boy there. She said, about your age. And she said the girl and the boy were in the lake. She's doing all this, explaining it. The children were on the shore. And she said, it looks, in the dream, it looked as though the girl was trying to teach the boy to swim. Or perhaps it was the other way round. She said, I don't know. And I said, that's exactly one of our recollections. That's what happened. And I said, that's the exact afternoon that Martha came to see you, and you say she didn't, and you've had this dream. And I said to her, what is going on? And she said, I think I know what's going on now. She didn't do all this sort of, business, is there anyone there? She didn't do all that rubbish. She said, I shouldn't call it rubbish in case you don't think it is. She just said, hang on a minute, hang on. And she closed her eyes and she thought, I suppose quite a long time, probably about a minute. If you time a minute, it's quite a long time. And then she said, Martha's here now. And I looked round. I said, no, she's not. She said, she shouldn't be here. She shouldn't be here. And I said, well, she's not here. And she said, she is. And I thought, I was a bit slow on the uptake. She said, I feel a presence. It's Martha. All right, I made a bit of a fool of myself, I have to admit. I felt stupid. No, she's not. I can't see her. She said, Martha's here now. And she said, you won't see her. She's not on our earthly plane. And I knew a lot about all this. I'd had experiences in the past, as you'll know from my previous videos. But this all seemed, I don't know, too unreal or too uncanny. She said, Martha has come from another plane and she's come back here to see you. I said, why? What do you want to see me for? And because I'm good looking. And she said she was drawn back for some reason. She said, I don't know what that reason is, but she's here now and she's saying to you, through me, she says, goodbye. So I said, well, where's she going? She said, she's going back. You won't see her again. And I was disappointed. In fact, I said, no, you're wrong. I will. I'm meeting her tonight. I mean, again, I made a bit of a fool of myself. I'm meeting her tonight in the pub. We've arranged it. You know. She said, no, you won't. She's going back to where she belongs, where she's come from. So I said, well, can you ask her why? Are you speaking to her? And she said, of sorts I'm speaking. I remember that, of sorts. So I said, well, ask her why she's come back. And she said, the ring. The ring. I said, well, what ring? Well, wedding ring? Engagement? What ring? And she said, you'll find out. She said, I don't know. She's not telling me, but you will find out. And she said, Martha's now gone. That was it. She'd gone. So I didn't know what to think. I just said, oh, okay, well, that's that then. I won't be seeing her again. I was convinced that she'd be in the pub that night. We'd arranged to meet. And of course, as you're thinking now, you're right. She wasn't in the pub. She wasn't in the pub. And I didn't see her ever again. I went back to see Alice a few times and she said, I can't make contact with her. She's gone back to where she should be. But what happened was, I did say to Alice, what's this about a ring? I never did understand that. And she said, she's given you a ring. And I said, well, I haven't got it. Where is this ring? Are you talking sort of metaphorically or what? And she said, she's given you a ring. It's where you live. I remember that, not your house or your flat or whatever, it's where you live. And this was only about a week, because I saw Alice 2 or 3 times. I kept going back because I was hungry for information. That evening at home, I called Martha. I sat in my lounge and I said, Martha, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Come back. I need to see you. Can you show yourself as you did before? And there was nothing. Nothing. I was just sitting in the lounge and coffee table in front of me. I had a cup of tea there and I was saying, Martha, can you come back? And a ring appeared on the table. It was very, very old, this ring, very old. And I took it to Alice. The very next day I just went round there. I didn't make an appointment. I went round there. And I said, look, what's that? And she held it. And she said, that's Martha's wedding ring. That's the wedding ring you gave her in a previous life. I did believe it all, but I went to a jeweller. I said, how old's that? And he said, good grief, where'd you get that from? I said, oh, it passed down in the family. He said, that's at least 200 years old. I forget the exact, he didn't give an exact date, but he said from when it was from. 200 years. 200 years. I've called Martha many times since. I've held the ring and I've called her many times since. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But all the things Alice told me all come true. My throat, the marriage, everything else she told me, all 100%. I wonder whether you're watching this video, Martha, from some other plane. Are you able to get electronic vibes or something and actually see me on this video? I don't know. If you are, Martha, come and say hello to me.